High school football in St. Johns County enters Week 8, and we are officially talking playoffs. District races heating up, some big district matches tonight. We're going to dive right into those. Bartram Trail coming off a bad loss last week to Middleburg. Really does not matter at this point this season. They're going to Clay tonight, and that's a district game. Bartram Trail wins that game. They are sure to no worse than a district runner-up spot. So a big game tonight for Bartram Trail, and really can rub off some of the residue from last week's loss. Clay, once again, if Clay wins tonight, Clay in control of its district destiny. So a big game for both of those teams tonight, especially Bartram Trail in terms of getting back on track and back to the playoffs. St. Augustine going to Palm Coast Matanzas. St. Augustine a win tonight. Doesn't get the Jackets in the playoffs, but takes a big step towards there. Really some formalities, all that remain for St. Augustine should they win the game tonight. Matanzas, should Matanzas pull the upset, Matanzas in control of its district destiny right now. They and St. Augustine are 1-0 in district play, so Matanzas, it would be the upset of the century for Matanzas. Stranger things have happened though, so Matanzas can knock off the Jackets tonight, then we're talking Matanzas possibly in the playoffs. A big one, probably the biggest out-of-area game tonight, Menendez going to Palatka. Really a tale of two teams. Palatka winless this season. You don't see that too often from Palatka, but Menendez has righted the ship after a loss to St. Augustine in their first district game of the season. The 3-4 had a big win last week on a Hank Klein field goal in overtime to beat Ponte Vedra. And Menendez, if it wins out, it will return to the playoffs for the second consecutive season. A loss tonight really puts Menendez behind the 8 ball in terms of returning to the playoffs, but the Falcons in as good of shape as they've been in terms of district seeding. So the Falcons, really simple message for the Falcons: a win, and the Falcons are a couple wins, and the Falcons are in the playoffs again. Going over to another district game up at the north end of the county, Ponte Vedra against Creekside. Really a great game in terms of rivalry. These teams came into play at the same time last year, 2 years old, and teams have really done better than we've expected this season. Creekside has shown flashes on offense behind Andrew Schultz and Kevin Payment, and Ponte Vedra really kind of had some waves this season, shown some flashes on offense, really not being able though to sustain that for 4 quarters of a game. But last week they came back from 19 down against Menendez, forced that game into overtime, did lose the game 22-19, but nonetheless Ponte Vedra showing some heart and some fight late in the season. St. Joseph is off tonight after a big win last week at Bronson, 48-22. Big game from quarterback Kevin Engman. He replaced Scott Jones. He really took the reins for Scott Jones, all-county running back. Was injured in that game, suffered a head injury, and he's off this week, so a little bit of an injury relief for Scott Jones. But the Flash is also off this week, and turn their attention next week with the home game. Leads me to our player of the week this week. It's our second kicker, Hank Klein for Menendez. As I mentioned a minute ago, 22-19 win at Ponte Vedra last week. A big one for the Falcons, but Hank Klein, 3 field goals in that game, and including the game winner in overtime. So Hank Klein joins Andrew Barker as the Record's Player of the Week. Andrew Barker, a Nice kicker, had 4 field goals in a game earlier this season. Hank Klein becomes the second one this season for the Record's Player of the Week. Hank Klein from Menendez, your Player of the Week. And we will talk to you next week about playoffs. We'll have a better idea of where teams are headed after this week's games.